In these tutorials, in order to maximize the amount of learning experience that will be had, we are going to alternate between the theory and the practical aspect. So we will learn the theory for a particular data type, and then we'll move into our IDE for the practical part. Okay, now that the introduction is done, let's get into it. Okay, data structures in Python. So in order to understand what data structures are, we need to first understand what a data is. We know that the data is just an unprocessed information. Data has always been part of the human race and human society. So data collection, data manipulation, and then data usage, they've always been part of the human race since antiquity. The only difference is that due to technological advances that we have in the modern era, we have seen the growth of the number of data people use. You have YouTube, you have TikTok, you have Twitter. The number of data that people handle has increased exponentially. The number of data that people are using currently has increased exponentially. And in lieu of that, we need programmers who are capable of handling those data, who are capable of processing those data, who are capable of sharing those data to the clients that will need them and use them for their own business. Okay, so in order to understand the data, in order to be able to store, process, and manipulate the data, that's where data structures come into play. So when we say data structures are a specific way of organizing the data to facilitate organization, processing, storing, and the retrieval of such data. So what are the types of data structures that we have in Python? Well, there are two kinds of data structures. You have the basic and then the advanced. In these tutorials, we'll be dealing with the basic type of data structure. So with the basic type, we have four types of data structures. We have the list, we have the tuple, we have the dictionary, and then we have the set, right? In different languages, the names are slightly different, but the concepts are the same. So if you learn it with Python, you can use that knowledge to do it in any other language. Good. So what we need to note is that all the data structures that has been listed can hold different data types. So we have the integer type, we have the string type, we have the float type, and then we have the Boolean type, which is the true and the false. Right. These are the terms that you have to keep in mind as we are going through. You'll be hearing them in these tutorials, and then you'll be hearing them as you are learning throughout your programming journey. You'll be hearing these words. So the first word that you have to keep in mind is mutables, right? When they say data structure is mutable, what they mean is that it can be changed, it can be manipulated. So after you've created it, after you've created the values, you can then manipulate them. You can add, you can remove, you can change the the item at a particular position. The next term we have to keep in mind are immutables. They are opposite of mutables, meaning these are data structures that cannot be changed. So an example of a mutable data structure, you have a list is a mutable data structure. A set is a mutable a set is a mutable data structure, and then a dictionary is also a mutable data structure. But tuples are not mutable. So tuples are immutable data structures. Okay. The next word we have to keep in mind are ordering and sequence, right? So when they say uh, a data structure is in a ordering or is in a sequence, what they mean is that the order in which you put the data in that data structure are very important, right? Imagine that you have a box, right? And then you are putting your books in a box. The order in which you put your books in that box is very important. If you put the red book first, and it's under when you're taking it out to be the last one you take out. So the order in which you put those books are very important. So a data structure that is termed as ordering or sequence data structures that follow predictable ordering, right? And the reason why this is important is that we can then refer to each item in that data structure by something we call an index. We'll be learning that later on, right? And what the neat thing you can do with sequence is that you can check whether a particular item is in that data structure with the in and not in expression. We'll be doing that in the practical side of these tutorials. So items can also be found on their index position, right? So each data structure, with the ordering data structure, every item in that data structure has an index, meaning they have a number associated with their position. So if you remember back in GHS, you are in the line in assembly, every person has a number the same way. So lists and tuples are example of sequence data structures. So these are data structures where the order in which you insert the items in the data structures are very, very important. Okay, so the next thing you have to keep in mind, a collection. With a collection is an opposite of the sequence. So as the sequence, the ordering are important. Collection, the ordering are not important. So meaning you cannot refer to the data structures by their index. Every time you call the data structure, the items change positions. So sets and dictionaries are example of collection data structures, meaning these data structures, the index are not important, the order are not important, because the order keeps changing. So the next thing you have to keep in mind is index. Okay, so the index in programming means referring to an element. If we see something is an iterable, meaning you can loop through them, you can move from one item to the other, right? Maybe you can count them, put it that way, right? So item in an iterable by its position within the iterable. So once you have to always remember that an index always starts with 0. An example is here. So we have a list of colors, right? So the first item in this list is red. Red has an index of 0. Always the first item in the list, either a list or a tuple, the first item is 0. We'll be learning more about that in the practical side. So we'll stop here for now, and then in the next session we'll be talking about lists and everything about it. So we'll learn the theory about lists, and then we'll jump to the IDE, and then we'll do some coding about some of the methods of lists and how to manipulate the elements in a list. Okay, so see you there. Bye.